Well, good morning, my Tuesday King family. I tried to come on about 5 minutes ago. My power went out, which meant my internet went out, so I couldn't attack. But I am back now. Look at gold. Oh, gold's almost. Oh no, that's silver. Gold, 52.44. Sorry, didn't mean to get y'all excited there. Silver. All right. So what is going on? Well, the last day of the month and we're not getting crushed, so we'll take it. We had a 10 o'clock jump. We had an 8 o'clock jump. China didn't do much. Europe did nothing. Then about 8 o'clock, it zoomed, and now it's 52.44. Finally, I think comfortably over 5,000. I think we're comfortably over 5,100. And now I think we'll play in the 52s until we get to 53, until we get to 55. Silver's having a huge day, 93.85. So cart from India, well, now you can sell it and pay your dad back. So you just had to wait a day for that. That's why you don't, if you know what you're doing, we know it's going to go up. So don't get excited about it. I mean, we're in this for the long run. We don't care if a day, goes down, right? Because we know where it's headed to. Silver's going to 1,000 an ounce. So there might be a day it goes down to 85 and whatever. I don't know why you're buying it to sell it back to your dad in a day. That makes not a lot of sense to me. See, I love this. I don't know who this is. I don't know what number it is. It's a scam, obviously. And they want to invite me out for a meal. And my response is, who the fuck is this? So, are you even local? I mean, who are you? All this scam bullshit. I can't wait for AI with all the crap. 52.50 and 93.87 silver. So we're having a wonderful day. Let's check our Bitcoin. I enjoy watching it go down. Now, that's one thing I'm glad you guys didn't buy. And if you did buy, I hope you get out. 65,000. Oops. It's going down. Oops. What are you going to do? What you going to do when the Hulkster and crypto comes knocking at your door? 52.54 gold and 93.86 silver. So we're at the start of our time of what we've been waiting for, which is good. We just hope it should just keep going up and up. So we're finally breaking through. Pardon me, there's this noise above my bedroom. It sounds like a vacuum or something. And I hear somebody talking on the phone, so it must be maintenance. There must be a maintenance problem upstairs, which just started, which is why I lost the power, because they plugged in their vacuum or whatever, and it shorted the power, which turned off the internet. Anyway, so I'm trying to block it out. I've got the door closed, but we'll go ahead. So we've been waiting for gold and silver to hit physical market. Now, I will show you Mark McGwire today. Pretty good show. He's on, just him, so it's a good show. There's a question on what's a naked short, which we all want to know what the hell that is. So he kind of explains that. Basically, that we've got China now being pricing the gold and silver, not COMEX. There was a thing Alistair McLeod showed yesterday where there's like 800 million ounces of gold in comex or silver, but only 70,000 available, or 70 million, 800 million. I think it's 800 million in shorts in contracts, but only 70 million ounces to feed 800 million, and you can't do it. So I have a feeling this is the end of comex as we're coming into March. And there's just, as they say, you can print money to pay for these gold contracts. You can't print silver. You can't print money for silver because there isn't any. So we're coming to the realization that this is going to be worth a hell of a lot more because you can't find it, right? If I go to the store, I'll go next week. It's my birthday, and I'll buy. I used to buy 10 ounces for $300. Now I'll buy 3 ounces for $300. But that's okay. That's a good sign. And I'd rather buy silver or gold for my birthday, which is what I've done the last 5 years. But that's the point of it. So that's the key. Real quick, I did get my driver's license in the mail. It probably came last week, but I don't go to the mailbox that often. And the tabs for my car. So I did it online and I got everything. So I'm all set for my new license, and I'm all set for my plates. So I've already taken care of that. Daria had a good birthday. She was all excited. She's back to work. There's a lot of problems in Russia with Telegram and WhatsApp. I guess you got to use different VPNs. So I think Russia's changing it because the CIA and MI6, James Bond, is doing shit. They're the ones fighting the war, not Ukraine. And so they realize they have to switch these, because they're listening in. So Russia's smart enough to change it. So sometimes I can't get a hold of Daria because Telegram's not working, or her VPN's not working, or the internet's not working. But we're okay. She was okay for the birthday. So that went real well. Anyway, so back to gold and silver. So it's going to, China's doing most of the prices. It's mostly physical now. China's back from their week off for the new year. And they don't want us to have silver. There's a silver shortage, so they are not exporting any silver out. So there's a huge demand, and there's no supply. China's got it, but they're not letting it out. So the U.S. needs it, and Trump made it a major whatever it was, mineral, because the defense contractors need it to make stuff. Most of the missiles and then the bullets and all that come from these materials that China's not going to let out. So you want to have a war, but with any missiles, because you gave it all to the Ukrainians, and they probably didn't even pay you. Or we probably paid them when we gave them $50 billion. It came back as, okay, well, we're going to give you these missiles. So you're paying for the missiles with the $50 billion we gave you. What a Ponzi scheme this is. The whole thing's a Ponzi scheme. The whole government's a Ponzi scheme. I see ads for new, people running for governor or senator or whatever in Michigan. I just laugh. I'm like, how can I vote for any of these idiots? They'll just want the lobbyists to pay them off. So I'm not going to take part in that. Anyway, so gold and silver are coming on strong today. Again, being the last Friday of the month and the mark-to-market, I thought we would get hit. We did get hit on, Wednesday, and then it started to come back. And poor Cart, he's panicking. Why are you panicking? This is the only move. This is the only move. As I said many times, inflation is the printing of the money, inflates it, and it makes the value go down in the money. So you have no option. You can't stay in your ruble or the dollar or the euro or the British pound, or any dollar that is not backed by gold is all worthless. So you can't stay in it, and you can't try to guess it. You just know that the proper move is gold and silver. Now, I'm not crazy that you're borrowing money from your dad to buy silver to pay him back next week. Although you did okay, because if you bought it at 89, it's 93. You made $4 an ounce. I don't know how much you bought, but you should be able to sell it today and give it back to your father. But again, not how we're playing gold and silver. I mean, I'm buying it at 25 an ounce and holding it, and I'm not even thinking of profit taking. I'll sell, an ounce here and there if I need the money, but that's about it. So we will see. Anyway, I think comex is blowing up because comex will, really has no choice. It's going to blow up because it's again, it's not meant to be a physical market. It's a paper market, meaning they're just trading options. The U.S. and London are making money. I am going to sell, you're going to buy, you're going to sell, and I'm going to buy. And as long as nobody asks for physical, it's fine. It's just a Ponzi scheme. Now, I don't know how this Ponzi scheme is legal, but yet Madoff's was illegal. I don't understand that. A Ponzi scheme is a Ponzi scheme, and it's totally illegal. MMcgwire says it's legal, fine. Maybe in London it is, but to manipulate prices and not have free market is never legal. So that's what we have with that. So a good day. We'll watch Mark. It should be a good one. Let's look at anything new in sports. The NFL. Did we get anything new? Steelers get league worst F in NFL report cards. I don't know what that means or who's giving the grade. Alabama quarterback Ty Simpson could be a first-round pick. Are you serious? Where do they get this shit from? The guy is not good. All right. The guy played some big games and he didn't show up. What exactly did you learn from that to say he could be a first-round pick? Well, good luck with that. First of all, I thought he was just a sophomore. I thought he was like a freshman, and now he only played 1 year. He's not developed at all. Okay, I like playing for DeBoer. He develops his quarterbacks like Penix a lot better than most teams, but why would you take this guy in the first round? I don't understand this. This guy's not any good. It's just like Trey Lance. Oh, the third pick. Yeah, how did that work out? How's Lamar working out? Yeah, you're losing a lot of games. Did Aaron Glenn fall asleep during the NFL Combine? Why is he even at the NFL Combine? Cowboys placed $28 million franchise tag on George Pickens. So you're going to pay him $28 million. You're playing CeeDee Lamb, what, $30 million? It's too much for one position when you need defense. Still need a quarterback. I don't know what they did with running backs. The latest combine news, Ohio State's duo shines at workout day. So they can work out? Can they play football? Like Tom Brady said, the guy can throw the ball 70 yards, but who cares? It doesn't mean anything. Can he throw it so the guy catches it? Does he know how to read a defense and all that? Fernando Mazzola on the Raiders. Who hasn't admired Tom Brady? Well, what a great quote. He won't be any good. He was 16-6 2 years ago at Cal. He has a good year with a good team that has good running, which makes him look better. Again, he threw the interception against Penn State, and he had some turnover issues against Iowa and Ohio State. I'm not sold on him. Football runs the world. Steve Young talks NFL team valuations. I don't listen to Steve Young. Colts Anthony Richardson's reportedly mutually agreed to seek trade. Who the fuck would want this guy? Again, if you take him, he's going to be a wide receiver. To try to make this guy a quarterback because he's athletic. So what is the thing? We don't have enough good linemen. So if we run our quarterback, then we don't lose a blocker by having the quarterback out there because he can't block. The stupidest thing I've ever heard in my life. Titans reportedly trading defensive tackle T-Vante. What kind of name is this? T-Vandre Sweat to the Jets for Jermaine Johnson. NBC moving on from Tony Dungy. I never understood why Tony Dungy was even there. He said 5 words, and I never agreed with anything he said. The Commanders should trade down to take running back Jeremiah Love. Well, they need a lot of help. They need a lot of defense. In this draft, they shouldn't trade down at all. They should take one of these Miami, Texas Tech, Ohio State guys. That's what everybody's missing. Oh, well, we'll get offense like the Lions. Well, we can get a left tackle and we can get some guards, and no, you need defense, fellas. And this is a great defensive draft. So free agent alignment, but I'm still very confused that this Lions GM has a clue what he's doing. Oh, he drafted a guy with the number 2 pick. Oh, wow, what a great draft. He's a great GM. Oh, my God. Why the Chiefs are the perfect landing spot for Anthony Richardson. What are you kidding me? With Mahomes? Makes no sense. All right. Back to the Super Bowl. We don't care about. NFL Combine results. What kind of results can you possibly have? And again, I don't like these speculation articles. Ty Simpson, Alabama quarterback, short on experience, but he could be a first rounder. Did you watch Alabama play? And at what point did you realize this is a first rounder? Oh, my God. How NFL players graded their coaches. I love that one. So there's not a lot in football. Oh, wait, what's it say about Reuben Bain? Reuben Bain measurements on his arm length will be a hot. Gives a fuck. The guy's a great defensive player. All right, so there's nothing really to see there. So it's hard to football. Let's talk a little poker. So I've been watching poker, getting into that. Basketball, it's just too stupid, and I can't. Hockey, the U.S. beats Canada. I've never heard of the guy who scored the goal. And then I'm like, not only have I not heard about him, but I'm embarrassed to be a USA citizen. I mean, it's we're at war, bullying everybody. I'm not proud to be an American. I'm ashamed to be an American, especially with my friend in Russia. And here you're trying to destroy them. For what reason? What did Russia do to you? Russia's not a mean country or a bad country. They're no worse than the U.S. And we're going into what? Venezuela. Now we're going into Iran to get our ass kicked. And we're in Mexico. So this is what the U.S. does. We take out the mafia leader in Mexico with the aid of the Mexican army. So we don't do anything, but we'll kind of say, hey, yeah, look at us. Look how good we are. We took out a mafia head. Wait for the retaliation. Trump's delusional. This is the best economy ever. Like, is he out of his mind? Do you not understand what a $39 trillion debt is? And you can have the nerve to call it the best economy with $39 trillion. All right. We'll get to MMcgwire soon, and I got an alligator short one to show you. So Daniel Negreanu, really bad poker player, but you think he's good. He's always talking. He's very nervous. He's a hustler. I guess he's a pool hustler. Most of those guys are. And he calls when he knows he's beat, and you just shake your head. I folded aces when on the flop, I get checked raise, and I know he's flopped a set, and I fold. I don't say I have to call. I got aces. I fold because I'm playing to win. He's apparently not playing to win. Well, I know I lost, but I'm going to call, because I got, he's got a hand. But he calls all that. He's like, he's afraid to be bluffed. So everybody's going to bluff him. I would think nobody bluffs him because he calls everything. Why would you bluff him? So there's that Gus Hansen hand where Gus has a pair of fives and Daniel's got a pair of sixes, and the flop comes 6-5. And then he gets the fourth five on the turn, and he goes all in, and Daniel goes, oh, shit, you got a pair of fives. And he calls anyway. Well, I have to call. I got the full house. But the only thing he's raising on is quads. And he's got quads. You said you got quads, and yet you still do not fold. What is wrong with you? Do you like losing, or is it really not your money? Probably not. I don't understand it. I think that the programs pay him to play in these tournaments because the way he does it, he gets the airtime, but he really doesn't play very well. He's always, I got a call. No. That's the whole point. When you are beat, you fold. And when you say, oh, you got kings, and I'm going to call you with jacks, you got a screw loose. So don't really understand the whole notion of it. Again, you've got to read the opponents. You read his bets, and it's okay to fold. You're trying to win, especially in these tournaments. Way too many all-ins on an ace king, or worse, an ace jack or something, unless you get blinded. When you're getting to the blinded out section of the tournament, then yeah, I can see going in with ace king or ace queen, ace anything, because you're running out of blinds. I mean, that I get, but that's why I don't like tournaments. I prefer cash games because I don't have to worry about being blinded out, and I can go all in with as much as I got. And if I smell a rat, you fold it. I mean, that's the biggest problem. People want to play. They want action. And that's one thing I've been admired by. I wish I had your patience, is what I get told. Because if I have 2-7, I'm folding it. I'm sorry. I'm not playing no stupid 2-7 game or 3-9 or whatever I have. If it's a bad hand, I'm folding it because the odds of me winning are bad. Oh, I'll bluff it. Well, what if the guy catches, trip nines? I ain't bluffing anybody out. So you've got to learn when to go out, and you've got to learn folding's a good play. I'm not going to win every hand. This is like football. I'm not going to win every bet. I'm going to lose some. Yes, I know. And I know people get disappointed when I do lose it. Oh, you gave me a loser. Yeah, I know. I'm not going to go 100%. Same thing with Cart and his silver yesterday, where it went down and he's freaking out. John Z, hello. He's freaking out because the silver went down. I go, well, it's not going to go up every day. It will go down once in a while. But look at today, it's up $4 or $5. So he should have been able to pay his dad off. But again, you've got to be practical, and you've got to be smart and figure things out. So Daniel Negreanu is always calling. He's always, well, I have to call. What are you talking about? It's okay to fold. I was watching one guy, and Doyle Brunson had nothing. He had like ace king and nothing hit. So he makes a big bet with ace king, and the guy calls him with a pair of twos, and the guy wins. Well, I don't know why you're calling. You're risking a lot on a pair of twos. He could have any pair to beat you. Are you sure he's got ace king and not a pair of nines? And then Daniel Negreanu goes and says, oh, watch out for the guy in red. Doyle tried bluffing him and it didn't work. what are you, the announcer? They can see, and if they don't see it, it's not up to you to say that. Uh, Something similar happened to me at MGM. I'm sitting down on Friday night, and this guy says, "Oh, do you know who you're playing next to?" And it was me, and he's telling the guy next to me, "Oh, look out who you're playing against." And I'm like, "Shut the fuck up!" I mean, we don't have to announce that I'm a good player. I was kind of pissed. Uh, Raiders should get Pavia. Yeah, I mean, he's the best quarterback in the draft. Mendoza, I don't see being all that. Anyway, so with poker, a lot of these guys go broke. Tom DeWan went broke. I think Johnny Chan went broke. I don't know. And I don't know what this new game theory is. What is game theory for poker? I know what game theory is for war. That's what the U.S. is doing, and it's wrong. They assume that Russia's going to do this, and they're doing game theory. They would do this. The thing, game theory. So I don't know, and then I don't know why you trust game theory, and really, I don't know what it is. I don't know why it's a big thing. But in poker, everybody's using game theory, which I don't know if it means pushing people in, making big bets. Most people will fold. Well, Doyle Brunson, I got super system too. That's what he says, right? Just try to make the big bet and put the pressure on the other guy to call. Well, yeah, it's called slow playing. Yeah, okay, I'll fold, I'll lose nothing, and you make a big bet. And then when I get pocket aces, or I hit a flush, or I hit a set, I'm gonna just sit there and let you try to bully me, and I'm gonna just call, and you'll bet, and I call, and then I got you because you got nothing, because you're not playing your cards, you're trying to put pressure on me with a big bet. So anyway, that's why if you play at Bellagio or at Caesars, or I don't even think Caesars has a poker room anymore. These guys, these people running the Vegas casinos are morons. They're third graders with no education, no experience, and should all be fired. What they're doing is disgraceful, because it doesn't make any sense. From a guy with an economics background, it makes zero sense. I want people in. We got an ice cream store, as I like to use. I want as many customers in, because they might buy something else. Maybe I have T-shirts or little Sunday cups or little Sunday banks. Just getting people in, getting them comfortable. They might not buy today, but they might come back Sunday and buy. But I want people in. I don't want the store being empty, because then if somebody else comes in and there's people there, they'll be comfortable too. Nobody wants to walk into an empty restaurant or an empty ice cream place or something. So I don't understand Vegas doing that. And getting rid of poker has to be the stupidest thing I've ever seen, because I come and I bring my girl, and then she goes shopping, and she might play the slot machines. I've done that before. I played, and girlfriend would, here's 100, go play poker, whatever. And she'd come back for another 100. Now, I don't know if she actually played or just pocketed the 100, but still, if she didn't have poker, I wouldn't be there, and she wouldn't be, putting 100 into a slot machine or whatever. And then we ate. We don't really shop at MGM, because I'm not a big MGM fan. But anyway, so you have all that. So you got a lot of problems in Vegas. But as far as poker, it's again, you're problem solving the other player. And you watch him against other players, and you go, oh, he made a big bet and he was bluffing. And then against this guy, he made a big bet and he was bluffing. And so you're kind of reading it to see but even that, it really doesn't. He could just do it against that one guy, because the one guy, if I make a big bet, he folds. But against me, if he makes a big bet, I'm not going to fold. So he's not going to play the same play. So again, it's like New England. They were great against nobody. They beat Buffalo once and lost to them. And then in the playoffs, they got lucky with Houston with the interceptions, barely beat Denver with the backup quarterback. And so it's you go underneath the line and go, they didn't play anybody. And Seattle's beating the Rams twice and Frisco twice. And you go, okay, yeah, they're the better team. So you got to use that too. But that's the thing. Poker is very much reading the player, but still with your hand. So you got a good hand, you might slow play it. Now you got to be careful the slow play versus the protection. So when I'm watching high stakes poker, which is a cash game, a guy will have aces and there'll be 2 clubs on the board. They're betting 100 grand. They don't want you to catch the flush. Now in a tournament, they might slow play it. Or depending again, if it doesn't come too close. So I got aces and it doesn't come 2 clubs, then I might slow play it a little. But if I see 2 clubs or 7, 8, 9, I'm betting large because I want you to fold because I have the better hand and I don't want you to catch. So that's a big part of poker is making the protection bet so the guy doesn't catch a straight or his flush. And that I see a lot of bad players not do that. They'll slow play their aces. Buddy, slow playing aces and 5 cards go across the board is probably the worst thing you can do because, hey, the guy's got nothing. Oh, he's going to bluff at the river. Maybe. And if he does make a big bet at the river, you're going to be able to call with your aces. Oh, if you're Daniel Negreanu, you go, I got aces. I have to call. But that's the thing. What are you doing with it? So you got to be careful with that. I got to protect if I got aces, the flop comes, I'm pretty much betting it almost every time because I'm protecting them. And unless the flop comes with an ace, I won a huge pot without even betting my aces. Some lady had kings or queens, I guess. She made a big bet. I called pre-flop. Then a guy hits, I get an ace on the flop and a guy gets 2 pairs. So the kings or queens, whatever, she ended up folding. So I don't know. She made a bet. I called. 2 pair goes all in. The kings go out. I call because now I got a set of aces. And he walks over and shakes my hand. He says, fuck. Because he couldn't win. Because if he got another, let's say he had 10s and 4s. If he got another 10, I'd have a full house. If he got another 4, I'd have a full house. He couldn't win because he couldn't catch. I had a set of aces. So he couldn't catch a straight or flush. So his only out was to get the full house, but it would have given me a higher full house. So he was dead. But again, I didn't bet. I get quads. I don't even bet. I just check and the guy bets, it goes all in and I call. So, there's times to be sneaky and kind of because you don't want to start showing the strength of your hand. That's the key to it. However, if it's just a pair of aces or ace king and you catch the ace or the king, you want to protect them. It's not a very good hand after all 5 cards are thrown out. John C., am I playing poker today? No, I'm not. People get addicted to gambling. People get addicted to the action. There's all sorts of addictions, drug addiction, alcohol addiction, cigarettes, sex, chocolates, gambling. And that's one of the things I noticed from high stakes poker. They'll call because they want action. So you see a guy calling with 3-9. He just wants action. He's not playing to win. He's wants the action. I play to win. So I don't call with the 4-9 for action. And that's what people say about me that they mean is, I wish I had your patience. In other words, you don't play for the action. You wait for a good hand and then you play and then you hope it hits the flop. But I'm not calling with 4 diamonds, 9 of spades so I can get action and get a miracle and get, the flop game 4-4-9. How about that? Yeah, 1 in a million. I mean, that's not how you play. That's not how you win. And that's not how I bet football. I don't bet on the JETSs very often. That's why I'm looking for the Mahomes and the Burrows and the Staffords and those guys. But yes, people do get addicted to a lot of things. When did you play poker? Oh, I've always played my whole life. I just right now I'm more into buying gold and silver because I can't lose in gold and silver. So I play $300 1-2 no limit at MGM, and I could win. I've won 1,000 before, 1,500, but I can only lose 300. That's always how I look at it. It's capping your losses, and so when I now I can go and lose 300, but I'd rather go buy, well, up till recently, $300, 10 ounces of silver. So now I'm restricted to 3 ounces of silver. So it's my birthday next week. I'll buy 3 ounces of silver probably. Or I could go play poker and whatever. If I win, go buy silver. But I tend not to play well because I'm kind of protecting it, going, well, no, I want to be able to buy some silver. So I play very almost too careful. And yeah, it's not good when you're trying to like, no, I got to save my money to go buy silver. It's really not good to play poker. It's not, you can maybe gamble if you're playing like $2 blackjack, if you can find that. I haven't seen Profit in a while. Well, because New England lost and I've been giving it to him. But yeah, he ebb and flows. He's in Canada, so who knows what's going on there. So poker again, it's a real hard game. It's a real stupid game, Hold'em, I think, because everybody's uses the 5 cards in the middle, and so you have no idea what their 2 cards are, and there's no way you know. There's no tell you're going to pick up. Oh, they're weak. You can kind of tell by the bet. So if they bet a small amount or they check, you really don't know if that's weak or not. I could check and make you think I'm weak with the full house. I thought he was weak. He checked. Yeah, I know that's what you're looking at. So if you're really clever, you kind of play backwards. You kind of, well, I got a full house. I'm going to check, and I got a 2-9, and I'm going to bet. I mean, you could do that, but it's very difficult. It's just a game of reading the bets, and so you got to keep to your limit. I play 300. That's all I'm interested in losing, because I bet football and I got gold and silver, and I'm not really interested in playing a game like Hold'em, which is pure luck. Oh, I had a pair of 9s and he's got a pair of kings, and I caught a 9 on the river to beat him. That's just pure luck. There's 2 cards in the deck and I got it. Yeah, that's not skill. You ever play pickup games of poker? Well, yeah, when I was in 6th grade, we played. When I was like 13, 14, 15, always had money. And I would play after school. I started working like at 15. And so I'd get a decent check, but living at home, I didn't have rent or food to pay. So I played poker, and the buddies from school would come over, and we would play then. And I'd win a lot because they would give me all their tells. I could tell by either the way they bet or the way they looked, what did they have? So, that's why it's a hard play. Betting football, we can figure out basically. And there's no, I'm checking, I'm slow playing, I'm trying to bluff. Football is football. You look at you study the teams, you understand what the teams are, you look at the injuries, and if everything's good, then Kansas City should be good as an underdog to Baltimore or something like that. But in poker, you don't have that. When I was playing with my friends in 7th and 8th grade, they would always tell me their hands subconsciously. They'd smile at their friend and they'd make a big bet, or they would check. They didn't bluff. So basically, if they checked, I knew they had nothing and I might make a bet. If they bet, if I didn't have anything, I would fold. And they always were like, "How did you know to fold that and raise me there?" I didn't tell them, of course, but it was, "You're telling me you only bet when you have a hand. You check if you don't. So if you're checking and I got anything, I'm going to bet." And I can see your facial reactions and I can see the way you're checking. So I know you got nothing, because I know when you have something, you bet. And that's the normal amateur way to do it. They tend to, even at MGM, if I go on a Friday night with all these older guys, they tell me what they got. I mean, even if they don't bet, they call me. So if I bet 20 and they call me, I know they have a hand without them betting. So if I catch a real big hand, I'll bet 80 on them and they'll call. And then I got them because I have a good hand. So it's a lot of, do you think you're going to win? And the players subconsciously tell you that. They give you that. That's why I'm so wicked hard to play, because I just kind of put my head down and I'm like this. So go read me. You can't. You can't read me. It's impossible. I don't get all excited. I can have trip aces and not bet it. And I can check my four of a kind and I can check my flush and I can bet my flush. It depends who the player is. As I told you this story, this guy would play and he'd always slow play. So I was heads up with him in one game, and I had like a pair of kings or something, and I don't know, he's checking. So I check back, and then he checks again, and I check again. He catches a flush on the river to beat me, and he checks, but I won't bet for him. I'm not going to get checked raised by you, because I know when you do that, you have a good hand. So I just checked. He didn't win a nickel on me because he checked and I checked back. And I'm like, I know how you play. I know you want to check raise me. So if you understand the other player, he's a check raiser and he's checking, unless I got a strong hand, I'm not going to get involved. And he did have me beat. He did have the flush, but he didn't win a nickel on me. So that's another strategy. So there's some strategies based on who you're playing. But again, be careful, because I can play one way to you, and I can play another way to Bobby, and I can play another way to Luke, and all these different plays. So yeah, I have played that. All right. So I want to talk about little economics, and then we'll get to Mr. McGwire. So we had our discussion again. Inflation, the definition: increase in the money supply is the cause. The effect is it decreases the purchasing power or value of it, which then increases the general price level, because it then takes more dollars to buy Coca-Cola. So we've talked about that, and that's why we buy gold and silver. So we know the money is being printed because they're not getting enough revenue. They're spending more than they're getting in. So if you get $1,000 paycheck and you spend $2,000, you're in big trouble, right? And so with that being said, they need to print more money to cover, because it's the government. And even Mark McGwire says, well, they can just keep printing, and they can't. The problem is it'll lose value if they keep printing. So in other words, he's talking comex. He says, well, they can print to cover the gold. They can just print dollars to cover the gold. And I'm like, no, they can't, because the money will be worthless. That's the inflation. So even Mark doesn't get that. But the point is, we know that's going to happen every month. Every year there's a shortage. There's a $2 trillion shortage in the budget, which isn't even real. It's far higher than that. That's just certain things in the budget. And so you have that, and the so the play of gold and silver is because, well, wait, if they can print and it loses value, they can't print this. So this can't lose value. The only way this loses value if there's no demand for it. That's any product in the world. If there's no demand for Cocoa Krispies, the price drops because they can't sell it. So if there's no demand is the only way this should drop. But that's not what it is. This is not dropping because of that. So we get out of the dollar, which we know is being printed, and we know the value is dropping, and we get into gold and silver because it can't be printed, and therefore the value can't drop. It's as simple as that, unless demand goes down, but demand's super high, so that's not it. Now you're playing a paper game in comex. Don't even know what the fuck they're doing there. People are shorting it, and oh, it gets too high, and why are we even listening to it? We should listen to China is controlling the physical market. So if I have gold and people want to buy it, I raise the price and people still buy it. That's the price. It's what the market will bear. That's what I get so upset about with Comex. It's not the market. You know, you watch it drop $80, at 10 o'clock every morning, and there's no way that the demand went down. So it's a joke. Comex is a joke. It's a futures market. Who needs a futures market? We don't need a futures market. Just go buy the fucking physical and let the price go up. That's all you do. But this whole futures thing is just a Ponzi scheme. It's another Madoff thing. All right. So to clean that up. So let's go through economic history. And then we'll get to the number one powers. Economic history starts with the Romans from 250 BC to 500 AD. So somebody told me they had a 1500 year rule, and it's 750. So 250 before Christ, 500 after death. So 750 years Roman lived, but they only really had about 200 years of real prosperity, and then it started collapsing. So then we'll get back to that in a minute. Then there's the feudal, the medieval time from 500 AD to 1500 AD. And then we had mercantilism, which is socialism or nationalism. And that was from 1500 to 1821. So a lot of the Dark Ages, and then the kings would rule, or the lords of the manor and things like that. So it was a lot of socialism. Then we get to classical liberalism, which is 1821 to 1914, which is Adam Smith. And we know that was free markets, and that was the best time. The biggest growth in the world happened in 1821 to 1914. And then we've got the end of the era of regulation and intervention from 1914 to 1965. The government, central bank comes in, and the government starts trying to control and everything else. And then the era of entitlement, 1965 to today, where the government entitles people to buy votes. Vote for me. I'll give you $100 to vote for me. Oh, okay, I'll vote for you. And this is why we're broke right now, is this entitlement. So what the socialism is and the entitlement is, socialism is, I get a free lunch. I don't have to do anything. The guy working who made the money is going to pay for it. So imagine that. It's probably like if you're married with kids, it's the kids are the socialists. You take them to dinner, they can't afford it, right? They're 12 years old, they can't afford anything. So you take them to you buy them dinners, right? You buy them clothes. They live in your house. You don't charge them rent. That's basically socialism. So kids are brought up as socialists because they don't do anything to get the food and the shelter and the thing. Oh, I want to go to baseball or I'm going to play hockey, and the dad does everything. They don't work to get it. Not that they should as kids, but that's where they're indoctrinated in the social. Hey, I like just sitting here. Dad brings home food, and there's a refrigerator full of food that I didn't pay for. And let's go shopping, and I get clothes and everything. So that's kind of what it is. And then when you grow up, I don't want to work, and you get welfare from the state, you get unemployment, and you get um, I want free health care. I don't want to pay for anything. We'll let the rich pay for it. Right? Why should we pay for it? I mean, so you get a lot of that crap where the rich are paying for things and you're basically, along for the ride. I want free food. I want free healthcare. I want free clothes. And it's all the welfare state. It's well, who's paying for it? That's the question. Who's paying for it? It's the rich. The guy who makes a lot of money at his job pays for it. We'll get into AI and that in a minute. So the Roman era was two periods: the Republic, 250 to 68 BC, and then the Empire, which is what Julius Caesar does, in 67 BC to 500 AD. So first you have a republic, which is what the US is. But we've gone from a republic to this entitlement state. And the empire was an entitlement state. They would hand out bread to people. They would have gladiator games. They would, people would get all these handouts because they started to want to get votes. Well, it was funny, not funny, but crazy in Rome. The emperor would last 10 years maybe, and then he'd get assassinated. Very few were good because they were all selfish, and they'd get money, and then they'd hand out the bread. And the problem is they gave out too many handouts. And at the end of the day, Rome collapsed because they took the gold and silver out of their coins. And now you have no money. How are you going to survive? So, end war. Inflation ends every country. Every number one, every Alabama, the inflation one. The Republic of Rome was low tax, free trade. Leaders were elected, a republic, free enterprise. Rome grew very quickly. Center of law, finance, and everything. A constitution, little interference from the government. You can only be elected to one office one time. Term limits. What an idea. Presidents were the councils, one every other month, afraid to give one man too much power. And where the hell did that disappear to? Caesar, one man got too much power. Augustus Caesar had no wars. Nero, very corrupt. Wood to marble was his thought, so he burned the city to burn all the wood so he can replace it with marble. But that wasn't expensive, was it? He wanted to build a monument to himself. He burnt the town out. He blamed the Christians. He debased the currency. Now, this is the only time we have debased currency is when you take the silver out of the coin. That's debasing. Not printing and inflating this is not debasing. I don't know why all these guys, they're just a bunch of idiots. They hear it and they repeat, oh, we're debasing the currency. If there's gold and silver in the dollar, I'd like to know about it, but that's what debasement is. After Nero, every other empire inflated the money. All the politicians bought votes. Rome became a welfare state. Goodbye. Diocletian's empire invested to stop inflation, divided the empire, inflated, put in a wage and price control that destroyed the Roman Empire. So if you hear wage and price controls, run to a different country because we're fucked, right? Let's see. Constantine the Great, he moved the capital to Constantinople, Turkey. He issued a gold currency in the East. He took them off the price controls, And all of a sudden it was fine. Everybody was doing well. The East fell in 476. Big government kills the economy. Empire is the welfare state. TK, what if they stop printing money? Well, it would be great if they could, but they can't because they got to pay you Social Security. They got to pay all their government employees and the interest on the debt and the uh, the, the Defense Department. So I owe you, John C., $20. I don't have it. I'll have to print $20 to pay you. So you're asking me not to print it. Well, then you don't get paid. And they have, how many government employees do we have? Plus the ones who are getting a pension and all that. So right there eats up most of your pay, the defense contractors, and then the interest on the debt, it just goes nowhere. So how do you stop printing that? You owe it because the debt are treasuries, and you owe China and Russia and Germany and Britain and France and all the people that are bought the treasuries, you owe them, or you're going to default. And if you default, you're fucked. So you keep printing money because you're too stupid to have it backed by gold. And obviously, there is no gold in your Fort Knox. Die Hard 3. So you can't stop printing money if you owe it. Even if you don't owe it, we've printed way too much money. We have way too much debt. So your real question is, how do we pay off the $39 trillion in debt? And the only answer is to have a bunch of gold and silver and make the price of the gold and silver, $200,000 to get you to 39 trillion, and then say, here, I'm going to pay you in gold and silver, which they'll take, and then you're out of debt. But then you're out of gold and your money's worthless. So you're fucked anywhere you go. Who you got winning it all? I got the Russians winning it. Feudal system, 500 AD to 1500. Sufficient farming, serfs worked for the manors. So you had the kings with all the land, and they needed somebody to work the things. And I'm not going to get too much into it. Monasteries changed the feudal system because then it was education, and they built civilizations. Monasteries live in common, started a division of labor, science, which you would have thought they had in Rome. Scientific farming, fruit production went up. Fruit prices, of course, went down then because supply goes up. Monks and leisure time, time to think. Learning, started science, universities, machinery. So it increased your skill set. So now you can go and you can make more money. That's what the monks did with the universities, and let you live there, and they'd get the food and they'd farm and everything. So really the monasteries saved the world, basically. Golden capitalism starts in northern Italy, Venice, beginning of modern production, industrial revolution. Production lines, a ship a day. Venetians, major naval power, major center. Belgium, the other center, made clothing. So you can see they're making ships, they're making clothes, they're farming food, everything we need. That's why when you hear this trade shit, there is no trade imbalance. We buy, tennis rackets from China. We're not supposed to have it as even trade. Like I say, we don't sell them a tennis racket. We give them money. That's the free trade. We want tennis rackets. Here's $100, and I get the tennis racket. That's the trade, is the money. So we're never like out of it. You want free trade because you got to get things. I was listening to some guy yesterday. What an idiot! These guys are so stupid. You have free trade because you can't produce everything. So if I want Canadian Club 12-year or French champagne or dark chocolate from France or Italy or something, or Swiss chocolate, I can't make it in America. So I have to trade for it. So I give them money and I get Swiss chocolates. That's how it works. There's no trade imbalance. There's never a trade imbalance. It's impossible unless you're stealing, because you're using money for goods. That's the trade. So I don't know what Trump's talking about. Tariffs are the worst idea because it makes things too expensive. And no, we don't pay the tariff. The tariff is paid by whoever is producing the goods. If they can raise the price, it still doesn't make, we're still not paying for the tariff. The tariff is paid, so you put a tariff on French champagne. So now if you want to sell us your champagne, it's an extra $20 a bottle. But in the marketplace, can you charge an extra $20 a bottle? No, because of competition. I can buy Italian champagne or another country's champagne. So I'm not going to pay $20 more. So the French who are getting the tariff of the $20 cannot pass the cost along. Right? Sorry, I'm not paying it. And if we don't pay it, we're not paying the tariff, right? So the country that gets the tariff pays the tariff. Maybe they can pass it off, but maybe not. All right, so that's Industrial Revolution. Era of mercantilism is socialism. Premise: supply of money determines the prosperity of the country. More money, the better off. Gold is the king. Favorable balance of trade for gold, export more than you import, economy self-sufficient, things like that. So all right. So definitions of periods of time, who was number one? And we're not talking Alabama and Oklahoma. 1500 to 1600, Spain was number one. Now, obviously, Rome was number one right around Christ, 0. The University of Salamanca, as we talked about, everybody has a right to private property. This is critical for freedom in capitalism. Everybody has a right to private property, free trade, no slavery, written constitution, so you had a rule of law, no inflation, money is gold, low taxes interfere with the rights of private property, and little government. If you kept with this formula, we would never have inflation. We would never have the stock market crashing. We would never have the banks going under. We would never have any of this shit. This. It's so simple. It's 7 things, right? You give everybody private property and you leave them alone. Oh, it's so hard to do. Mercantilism is state control. It's socialism, as I said. Inflation kills Spain. There you go. Another problem with the inflation. Then Holland becomes the number one power from 1600 to 1650. The Dutch, the world's shippers, hauled freight, natural law school. Amsterdam, the world financier center. New York, Dutch East India and West India Company, Cape of Good Hope. That's probably why all the prostitutes went to Amsterdam, because they were the rich. So the girls would go where the money is. Makes sense. France becomes the number one power from 1650 basically till 1789, but we'll call it 1815 when Napoleon took over. And it was an empire. France, cultural center, France, language of the world. No, it's not. Computers, world's largest population, and good in science. But again, inflation fucked the French like it fucks everybody else. France, physiocrats, they adopted the ideas of the school of Salamanca. So they became capitalists for a while. 1776, U.S. fought England over mercantilism. U.S. arguments, Salamanca, natural law, physiocrats. All of these ideas crystallize in the U.S. today until we've turned socialist. There was 4 revolutions. Industrial revolution, the steam engine. We can go faster, mass production, mass markets, faster trade. There was the American Revolution, July 4th, 1776. Government, local and limited, not in England and not big. King is not law. Everybody wants freedom, other countries. So we don't want to be ruled by the British. However, it's supposed to be limited. local and limited. So in the States and very, very tiny. Five guys, that's it. We don't want all the government we have. Number three, the revolution. Adam Smith wrote The Wealth of Nations, which I have right there. Smith takes the ideas from Salamanca and creates a system. He takes on mercantilism. Money is a source of wealth. He says production is the source of wealth. So it's not just that you have money, it's how productive you are with the money. That's what hurt Spain. They had all the gold, but they didn't do anything with the gold. They weren't productive with it. More efficient the division of labor, the more productive the people will be. Doctors, lawyers, IT, finance, as you divide the labor up. And now I can go to a doctor, I can get my IT done, I can get my budget done in finance. So it allows growth because you have these people that can do this stuff. Adam Smith, the vision of labor and productivity. Should government intervene or leave it to the markets? Free trade, free markets. That's what the question was, and that's what he did. You want free trade, free markets. You have to have that. And when we're doing tariffs, we're fucked because we don't have that. TK, back then, they must have been healthier with all other drugs and bad crap. Well, they didn't live as long. Again, you didn't really have the doctor. I don't know if they lived to 40 or 50. Because you'd still get, how clean was the water per se. You had a black plague in England with the rats. They actually, the rats got on the boats, and the boats went from one place, from like Spain to England, and all the rats got off, and that's how you had the black plague. But if you had medical issues, was there enough doctors? I mean, how many doctors did you have? And they're not going to medical school, so how good are they? And there's probably no cayenne pepper or Celtic salt there. So I don't know. I think you live probably 40, maybe 50 years old would be it, maybe. The doctrine of the invisible hand. People should be free to make money by producing what the people want. Tesla, AI, all this bullshit that is out there that nobody wants, by self-interest. Supply goes up, prices go down. So the more computers that are made, the price goes down because now you got competition and there's a lot more computers out there. Best way to spread wealth. So that's why people get wealthy. They come up with I'm going to come up with a cell phone. I'm going to make a bunch. People want it, need it. Boom. And I make a lot of money, but it's because people demanded it. I got to make something people demand, not something that they don't want, and try to sell it to them. Well, I know you don't want AI, but I'm going to try to sell it to you. Productivity goes up, prices go down, best for the public to promote the common good. Economy is automatic. You cannot control it. And that's my bitch about socialism, communism, where the government's trying to control it. You can't just let the market go. I bought a blue shirt. You can't predict that. I might get Chinese food today. You can't predict that. I might not. I might go to the grocery store and get chicken. You can't say what I'm going to do, but you have it out there. And then I'm going to do something. I'm going to eat. So that's the only thing, unless I'm in the middle of a fast, which I'm not right now. I might fast after my birthday. It's always fun. Laissez-faire, leave it alone. Keep the government out of the way. Prices drop, standard of living goes up, free trade. That's the key to laissez-faire. I know people laugh at it. They don't even understand it. Oh, laissez-faire, it's a funny word. I've heard that. I just looked at these people and I just shake my head. Excuse me, Bobby. It's a shake my head moment. And you just think, these are the dumbest people I've ever heard who doesn't understand invisible hand and laissez-faire. They're good things. They're letting me and you trade together. We don't need the government at every step. Fourth revolution was the communist revolution, 1776 to 1990. Lasted for a while. They ended private property, no family influence, no religion or God, and no monarchy. Does that sound like what's happening now? So the government runs everything. You need the government. It's a system like Amway. Um, person on the top controls person on the bottom. They don't know the purpose of the system. So that's how Amway is, and that's what communism is. So the guy in the top makes more money than the guy in the bottom. I don't understand. They all say, well, the owner shouldn't get all the rewards. The workers should get the rewards split, not the owner. No, the owner's taking the risk. The owner, of course, should get the reward because you're a baker. Bakers make $10 an hour. That's all you're not going to get $100 an hour by being a banker because I make $1,000. So I don't know where these people get these strange ideas from. French Revolution ends mercantilism. 1979, France is the number one economy. They took over for Alabama, I guess. France went to war a lot. 65% went to interest on the national debt. Does that sound familiar? I'm doing this because you can see what happened before and you can see where we're at. And we're right at the doorstep of death. 65% went on interest to the national debt. They went broke. Tax rate, 50% on individuals. The government went bankrupt. How can they go bankrupt? They can print all they want. No, they can't because it kills the value of it. Talleyrand, print up paper money, use versus the church land. Church owed 30% of the land, started the French Revolution. They print money, which increased inflation, which increased prices, which say goodbye to the French. Robespierre, wage and price controls, another fucking idiot. Reign of terror, chop off heads. That's when you see the guillotines. Again, trying to control the people. Now here comes Napoleon. He's a dictator, general. No more paper money. He does put France on the gold standard. Lowers taxes to 15%. So actually, Napoleon got it, right? Smart guy, wins battles, reinforced trade restrictions, and then Waterloo in Russia in 1815. Mercantile dies with Napoleon defeat. So socialism dies then, and we get to capitalism, right? 1815. The Latin monetary established the gold standard. 1821, England adopts the gold, and guess who's the number one? England. So Spain had the gold, Rome had the gold, Spain had the gold, Amsterdam had the gold, France had the gold, and now England gets the gold. Notice the gold doesn't go anywhere; it just shuffles around because there's very limited of it. People borrowed from London, and London invested in other countries. World War I ended classical liberalism in 1914. So we went into socialism then. From 1914 to 1965, it was interventionism. Government intervenes in the economy, and they have never left since. And Trump's doing this thing where he wants to buy parts of companies and have government people on the board. He's a communist now. Oh, I didn't realize that. Or is it fascist? I don't know. The Fed came in due to political fears. Some groups favored over others. Government tried to regulate the economy, which we know doesn't work. Spanned by two wars and the Great Depression, government expanded but never shrank. Benefit with contribution. From 1965 to today, era of entitlement. LBJ started this, entitled to the benefit, healthcare. Essence, entitled to benefit without contribution, which means if I don't pay for anything, I shouldn't get it. Now, I do pay for my Social Security when I was working. So that to me is not an entitlement. That's me getting my money back. President and Congress are just fundraisers and very bad at it. All right, so that was it. So England lasted till 1914 when World War One came out, and they had to spend their money. Then the U.S. took it over in 1948. Well, we had gold till 1933, and then there was the GATT treaty, which then said, well, the U.S. dollar will be backed by gold. We weren't allowed to own gold, which is like, what the fuck? So the government was controlling, but we couldn't own gold until 1975, I think, or 73, when Nixon took us off in 71, because we were, for LBJ's programs, they had to print more money, which there was more money than gold. In a gold standard, what it means is if I have $100, I go to the bank and say, give me $100 worth of gold, and you have to have it. You have to have enough gold for all the dollars. And so they did not have enough gold for all the dollars in 1970. And after LBJ took us to Vietnam, for what reason? And again, that was the defense contractors, the big government of the defense contractors putting us in all the wars. Yeah, we're bankrupt there, fellas. Can we stop with the wars? Wars are extremely expensive. You got to build the tanks and the planes and the soldiers and the uniforms and the food and have oil for the tanks to drive. That's how we won World War II with the Battle of the Bulge. The Germans kind of countered us as we were in Germany, and it would have worked, but they ran out of fuel. So they were like a mile or two away, and all their tanks stopped because they ran out of oil, gas, and that was it. So you've got to have gas and oil for your thing, and you got to feed the men, and you got to have bullets and weapons and tanks and bazookas and whatever else and planes. And these are very expensive. So if you don't have war, you just have some in reserve. But if you have wars, you use them, and therefore you got to make new ones. And that's what's happening now in Ukraine. We've given them all our weapons, and now we don't have any weapons. How the fuck are we invading Iran? And why are we invading Iran? Oh, we want to steal their oil because we're broke. Why did we go to Venezuela? To steal their oil because we're broke. Why are we in the Ukraine? To steal their oil and gold. And we wanted Russia's oil and gold because we're broke. It's a broken record. All right, so that's enough of that. Again, we talk about inflation because it's a very important topic because people don't understand it. I don't hear anybody gets it except for Egon, kind of. We can just keep printing all the money. You can't. Theoretically, you can print, but the value of the money goes to zero. So you're printing worthless paper. That's why I say you can't. Yeah, of course you can keep printing it, but you're printing nothing. Go get the Monopoly board and just give away the yellow $500 bills. You'd have a better opportunity. They're probably worth more than the money you're doing. All right, so let's go to Mark McGwire. I'm going to just do a few things on him. All right, Mark is McGwire.
I emphasize again, it is free to join my community. The stocks I share are also free. The techniques and strategies I teach.
This is history in the making. We are witnessing the end of a 50 years of gold and silver price. Thanks, Shane. Yeah, and as you say, we've got questions coming. I mean, this is all good stuff.
Mark McGwire.
As we kind of summed up in our last market episode, just to connect these dots, really. Triggered by the implosion of the Western sanctioned UBS, that was the SDIC Silver Futures Fund suspension. They did redemption crisis. It spread across China, and the deleveraging fallout primarily weighed on silver futures as, and this is important, as benchmarked against the COMEX. So, and then we talked about that really hit a raw nerve with the PBOC. And that's why they stepped in. We talked about it last time, aggressively. And what they did is impose strict Shanghai Futures Exchange position limits on the unhedged portion of their open interest of the participant.
So he's explaining that big drop from 120 down to 70 in silver because one guy did all these shorts, did like 5,000 short positions, which tanked the price. And then he said, don't buy. And so China didn't like it. The PBOC does not want the price to go down. They want the price to go up. And now they're saying you can't do that anymore. So he'll probably be in jail soon, but basically they're saying, this is what he's saying, is you can't do that anymore.
To interact with that exchange. So what they did was, alongside raising margins aggressively, but to a practical level, the reason they did that was they wanted to restabilize the functional hedging tool that the Shanghai Futures Exchange was actually originally designed to be. Now, the massively leveraged, remember, we talked about 450 tons. There was only 300 tons of supply in the vaults. It's significantly less now. But, and so really, this undermined the efforts of having this exchange, the future exchange, to kind of really provide a stable a hedging mechanism, really, for the bigger picture, for the SGE exchange, etc., which is 100% physically backed. Now, margin increases in China are increasingly impacting the COMEX margin levels too. And so to avoid a COMEX delivery default, we can expect unhedged COMEX open interest to also rise significantly. This is no longer disconnected. And cutting to the quick, though, by way of a reliable military contact that I've had for many years, Beijing is fast-tracking the long-planned silver yuan, and insiders are positioning for it. And this is confusing Western analysts who look at historical comparisons that read silver as in a bubble. We'll talk about more of that in a minute. But there's a bubble now, even supposedly even larger than ahead of the big sell-off 1 month ago. And that leaves a lot of investors on the sidelines, or even worse, naked short. We'll talk about that. There's a question about that coming up. Naked short. Now, we will look at this shortly, but let's first put this entire debacle into context with where we are now and what this means for us investors and our stackers as we move forward. So as we look at the charts, just a reminder, we're recording this bi-monthly market update on Wednesday for publication on Friday. And China has just come back into the mix from its 10-day holiday, which was yesterday. This is Wednesday. And February's unprecedented silver volatility is now beginning to settle into what was a very wrong-footed options and backdoor COMEX delivery obligations. And these delivery obligations, this silver is simply not there. So it's worth stepping back to put the 29th of January 46% SI silver flash crash. This is the futures chart. 46%. That was a derivative sell-off. And let's put that into context with the momentum-driven $64 overshoot. And if we flip over to the daily chart, it can better be seen with this blue circle here. And then let's put that into context with where silver was trading just 12 months ago at 29.15. So here's the beginning of January. So that was where we started, 29.15. Now suddenly it puts everything into context. Now what is helpful is into this unprecedented scale of this full suite derivative washout. What it does is enable us to benchmark a support price where net of long and short froth, the real paper to physical support levels have risen too. So net of all the LPMCL and CME smoke and mirrors duplicity, with the largest washout in history, what it revealed was a $35, $175,000 per contract higher stairstep to rally from. In fact, drilling down, the 100% naked short momentum driven overshoot to 64 triggered very strong institutional support at spot 80. This is where support was all along, where commercials exposed to a $30 higher SGE physical price, over $100 higher when this was smacked lower. So these commercials were bending the knee to massive Asian demand, locking in deeply underpriced COMEX prices for silver that go into delivery this month, starting in 2 days from now, which is when this episode will be published on Friday. Now, the 50% retracement that we see here has been defended aggressively into options expiry, which was yesterday. And there's first notice tomorrow where everyone who has a position has to either fully fund it or bail. Well, basically, we expect, now obviously we've seen a lot of support coming through. So how technical this is. It's just the 382. Well, it's a dot on the screen. What it's now bending the knee to is very strong physical demand, dragging this COMEX price up higher. And we were.
So as Cart's worrying, see, he doesn't get it. Those 2 days where they had to mark to market and they had to do it. So it was really Tuesday and then yesterday. So he's buying in the middle of that. And that's why I said, just let it finish. And then I thought today it would go down because I thought it was mark to market day, but it was already apparently on Tuesday and we did see it drop to 85 or 88. So it's not always the last day of the month, I guess. But in this case, it's near that. So if it was already Tuesday, the last day of the month, or the last day of the contract, then yeah, we're seeing a big spike today. I knew it would spike right after that. So that's why you got to understand what you're doing. And when Cart just sells and he's worried about his dad, it's being manipulated by these mark-to-market days. But now I said next week it'll be high. Well, it's already started. He's already at 93 today. He bought it, at 87, 88. So he's way up. But again, we're not playing. The game isn't to sell it if you make $5. The game is to get out of the dollar and to buy it and hold it. And if you need to sell an ounce, fine, but it shouldn't be, I have to sell an ounce. I'm going to buy on my birthday next week. So I got to sell it the following week. This is not that game. All right. We're not playing poker. We're not at the casino. We're not betting a football game that is Sunday night. And then Sunday night comes and there's the game. So we're not doing that. So you got to realize that. I'm getting here. I'm so excited. All right. So let's go to.
Protect and grow your savings with Kinesis. Sign up today.
Well, export bans. The US imports actually 64%. Think about it. Imports 64% of all its silver for AI and defense to add to its strategic critical minerals stockpile. And that's militarily as well required. They don't have it. They're having to import it. It means buying physical silver And because gold and silver prices are being set in the very liquid, physical, settled onshore and western-facing free trade zone gold and silver trade and vaulting corridors, that will be the price. That would be the actual price, not a derivative price. And tight supply silver will flow, obviously, to its highest offer. So if the COMEX is pricing it under, and there's a supply deficit, and literally, where do you think that silver is going to end up? And you just have to look at the massive drop in Shanghai silver inventories to realize everything on offer globally will be competed for. Now, before we jump back to our dear friend Shane, and Shane, thank you for all that you do, my friend. But I'm pretty excited about, we don't often talk about Kinesis here, but there is a brand new campaign launching, that Kinesis is just launching, and you'll see them pop up. These videos are fantastic. And it's the reason we're trying to say, look, here's your solution. These are the reasons, and they're fun videos. And these are the reasons you simply have to invest in, accumulate gold and silver, or hold your stack to protect your wealth. Please check them out because I think they're great.
Protect and grow your savings with Kinesis.
Institutional investment demand from funds not geared or mandated to hold physical, they can only hold shares, enabling them, though, to gain exposure to 100% physically backed ETFs without the risk of being exposed to Western-sanctioned, short-sold, double ownership structures that expose Western ETFs to potentially billions of dollars of counterparty risk. Now, this zero counterparty risk investment structure is just now beginning to attract billions of Western pension funds, although they've been seeking gold, now looking also exposure to silver. And what they're doing is seeking liquid diversification exposure to gold and silver. And anyone who's read the prospectus of the SLV and the GLD ETFs would realize that if called upon into a black swan event, a $2 quadrillion derivative implosion, for example, would reveal an unknown percentage of the invested ETF gold and silver assets are sitting on someone else's balance sheet, and you have not seen that balance sheet. Post 2008, the G20 bail-in laws are active in every single Western jurisdiction. Check it. They're there, even in Switzerland, everywhere, in an attempt to ring-fence the risk of a daisy-chain banking collapse. Bail-in laws really force shareholders to eat the losses before taxpayers. So as these Western-facing ETFs are not one-to-one backed with physical, it would be the ETF shareholders that would be ring-fenced, forcing them to accept shares in a bankrupt entity. We've seen it. We've seen bail-ins before. Now just think Lehman, think Bear Stearns, which is exactly why investors had sought hard asset diversification in the very first place. The SG ETFs are physically backed, and gold and silver will perform exactly as it says on the box, providing wealth protection into a global collapse. And how many debased dollars do you think it would actually take to buy an ounce of gold or silver? Think Reichmarks in a situation like that. So Shane, yes, as we drew attention to last episode, Beijing plans to return silver to its historic monetary role. However, to qualify, it must become a supply-demand stable, high-quality liquid asset. Otherwise, it wouldn't work. While many in the West will blinker themselves to the possibility of this, and I know they do, even the plausibility of this, much as they also underestimated the bullish effect Basel III NSFR compliance would have on the global gold FX markets, when non-compliant FX gold was trading at $1,616, look at the price now and say that didn't have an effect. The effect on global facing FX markets will be even more dramatic than silver. These high quality liquid asset silver investments are fast being aggregated in the expanding SGE gold and silver corridor. And as a result, while gold was the first monetary metal to be set free to operate as institutional cross-border liquidity, now it's dawning on the US Treasury that silver is also being monetized. Hence, the export controls and price floors to incentivize Western production. This is a panic move. We are privileged to actually witness both physical gold and silver reclaiming their global monetary status. It's time for Western shorts being stick-handled by the Fed to get covered. Very short term, which is the other question I get all the time. Yeah, but okay, what's happening short term? Look, the big picture is really what we're focusing on here. This is a no-brainer. But very short term, let's look at where we are as we head into the Bank of International Settlements of end-of-month position squaring, which has to occur into very strong Indian demand, bolstered by reports that Chinese gold and silver holiday demand had been so strong, with onshore wholesalers reporting gold prices would have to rise this week to meet restocking orders, which is really what's offsetting the attempts to smash down gold and silver into these derivative option squaring events. So what I'm saying is any last minute so-called discounts will be short-lived and jumped on. Now, interestingly, we had a question about naked shorting. I think we'll play it here.
I'd like to know.
Okay, so I just want to talk, and then we'll watch this one. So you can see gold and silver are about to boom. He's saying there's floors on it. So at 89, silver will go up, and then it'll, get back to 100 and back to 110. The same with gold. They have the floors. People are buying it. So probably 5,100 for gold. Now it's probably close to 5,200. And it's just being bought up, and there's really no competition for it. The ETFs are not, there's no physical in it. Stocks, they're about to crash. Real estate trusts, people are, and then you have AI, which is really, AI is really killing the workforce because these people who own the company are just too stupid. So they think, the first assumption is AI is as good as people, which is wrong. In Vegas, if you have an AI dealer instead of a real dealer, nobody wants to play. You're not figuring that out. Let's say you're in finance and you're figuring, I'll use this, or I don't know, what are you going to do it for nurses? Or are you going to do it for what? You already do it in the car manufacturers where they have robots there. But the assumption is that the AI is as good as the person. And I showed you yesterday, 97%, the person's better. But the people, it's just like the Tesla with the electric cars. It's just like the whole, Bitcoin thing. Everybody jumps on it, and then they realize they're wrong, right? Bitcoin's like 65,000 today. So they're all wrong. They don't get it. But they jump in. Oh, AI, I'll go to AI and I can lay off all my employees. Look at all the money I'm going to save, until the work's incorrect, until they don't do a good job. Oh, I thought it was supposed to do a good job. No, it isn't. They're not programmed properly. They're just taking data, but it's sort of like a formula, A plus B, and then it's supposed to equal C, but sometimes it equals D, and sometimes it equals E. So you're paying for something that isn't worth it, but you don't know that because you're an idiot, and you just go, oh, AI, I guess I'm supposed to buy that and kill all my employees. So the employees are running into that also. I told you the other day, somebody called for a job for me and they wanted my date of birth. I told them to fuck off. I'm not giving you my date of birth. I'll give you March 7th, but I'm not giving you the year. And that comes after you hire me. You don't hire me based on my age, or you don't not hire me based on my age. You hire me based on my skill set. And then you see my age, and that's fine. And that's all there is to it. But you can't ask that question. Then he started asking me when did I graduate with my master's. I says, call up the college. That is stuff that you should be doing, and you get after the fact. That's not part of getting hired. Getting hired is, I have a master's, I've done finance at Mercedes and at Ford and GM, at Harley. You want me or not? So I didn't hear back from the guy, but I said, I'm not giving you my birth date. And he never responded, which makes me think it was a scam, because it seems like a scam. So you want to do what? What do you need my birth date for? What do you really need it for? Because I went online. It's not illegal, but it's immoral. And then it's about why would you need it? You don't need my date of birth if I'm 40, 50, or 60. You don't need it. It's, can I do the job that you want? And then it became, the only time you might ask it is, are you over 21? Well, you're not really asking the how old the guy is. You're just saying, are you over 21? Because I need a guy who can drive, or I can, do you have a license? Do you have this or that? So with that, you've got a lot of people losing their job to AI. And this is a huge problem for the companies, because that is not a solution. It's not proven or tried that AI is better than people. In fact, 97% of the people were better than the AI. So how are you going to monitor the AI? Oh, well, we'll have to hire checkers. So we'll have to bring in people who will check the data to make sure AI is doing it properly. Then why are you getting rid of the people? So there's a lot of problems. And that's, again, why we're in gold and silver. But then you're losing a lot of customers, because, again, the best way to end the economy is to have 100% AI and no employees. And if you do that, who's gonna buy your goods and services? Nobody will be working, and so you won't have. Nobody will get paid. If nobody gets paid, nobody can buy anything. I saw something where some of these idiot IT people like Zuckerberg and Gates and these guys think there'll be no money in the future, and whatever it is. And I'm like, these guys are the stupidest people. What do you mean no money? Don't you understand why you need money? You need money to get paid and buy and sell things. You have to have money. There's no option like, oh, we don't need money. So I don't know what these guys are, but this is the problem with IT people. They're not finance. They're not economists. This is the problem I have with Alligator. Alistair McLeod is not an economist, and he doesn't know what he's talking about with inflation. Mark McGuire, he's more of a stockbroker too, I think, or a banker. These guys are more bankers because they talk technical banking, commodities and futures. They don't really know economics. I think I'm the only guy that's really an economist that's out there. Most of them are salesmen. Peter Schiff and Scheckman are trying to sell their gold. Rickard's a complete moron. So that's the problem. But that's what you're dealing with. A lot of, they all jump on the AI like they jumped on the electric car. Ford and GM are going broke because of the electric car, and Harley took a big hit trying to get an electric motorcycle without understanding their customer base does not want electric motorcycles. They want real motorcycles. That's why you drive a Harley. You don't want an electric. So the electrics never sold. There was no demand for them, yet they built them without demand. And you see that a lot. It's just ridiculous. All right. So that was my point with that. It's the floor on gold and silver, a lot of people out of work and more people coming, and it's not going to work. It's the stupidest thing. And a lot of these companies are going to go broke, getting rid of their employees who do the work, hiring AI who doesn't do it properly. and they're going to rely on false data, and they'll all go broke. So this is the stupidest thing. I hope Ford does it. I'd like to see Ford go broke. All right, now we're going to learn about naked shorts, because I think it's something where you don't have any gold or silver in the short. So it's all margin. It's something like that. But we'll hear Mark McGuire.
Exactly what is a naked short. I understand what a short is, and from what I heard, a naked short is technically illegal. But what I'd like to know is, how is this being done at a large level by people that are in the industry, and why is it allowed to go on? Why is it not illegal? That's it, basically.
So, really interesting question.
Okay, so what he's asking for is, why did the silver drop from 120 to 70? How can that be legal that the guy did a short and knocked the price down, because this is a paper market? So he wants a real physical market, a free market, right? With the physical gold. That's what he wants. So when he sees it, because it would never collapse like this, right? If we're in the free market, right, you would get, if we were Canadian clubbing and this is $100, this would never go down to 90. Maybe it goes on sale once on Christmas or something, but generally if it's $100 and it's selling, it's $100. And that's his ask, is why would silver go down? How is it allowed to go down? It's not legal, which I agree with that. And what Mark says is the short sell's not illegal, but the whole option thing is illegal. All right, so that's the question he's asking. It goes back to that silver going from 120 to 70, and we're all like, "What the fuck just happened? Why is that allowed to happen?" And that's our point. All right.
And I know we've covered this in the past, but it is, and as he says, he understands what shorting is, but what is the difference? And especially as it relates to gold, physical product, where you're actually, so a naked short position would be something where you haven't borrowed the silver first, and which is pretty much like the Fed does. For example, they borrow they borrow silver from the short. They borrow silver from the Bank of International Settlements. Then they have to market at certain points, which is once a month, we're just going to go through the same process again, and they're going to have to pay a big premium for that. But essentially, what they're having to do is then buy it back at market. So you sell it at a certain price, and now you have to buy it back at the highest price. So that's a short. But essentially, what you've done is you've borrowed it, sold it, and now you have to repay it at whatever that price is. That doesn't really work with silver. And so if you're talking about, we talk about naked shorts in the sense that it's not illegal. I can jump on the COMEX right now, and I can institute a short position just on a margin position, which is what the momentums do. I can institute a short position, and on just putting up a small percentage of the actual contract, and now force someone else to take the other side. Obviously, there's a long and a short to every position. So if en masse it's coordinated that, and in the past, we have had the bullion banks doing this, and they're now long, but you get the commercial swap dealers, reading the market as they may do when they now see that that a lot of speculators have jumped on board targeting $130 in silver. So essentially what you're doing then is you are then literally taking the other side, and because you're the house, you would then know their pain point. You'd know how much money they put in, where their margin position was, and you could rinse them out. So nothing illegal about that. It's dumb in silver, especially as you're now not even noting the fact that it's a real product you're shorting, which is not like a stock where it's pretty easy to cover and people do it all the time and make a lot of money at it. Not when you're shorting something like silver. It's not liquid enough. And therefore, once it spikes out of your control, yes, you're forcing the long. I've instated a short. I'm forcing a long to now. As that goes, I've instituted a long. So now I'm forcing that person to keep going and buying and buying and buying to protect their exposure. So literally, they're just a market maker and they just want to protect their exposure. No issue with that. A naked short, though, and that is a naked short, but the issue I have is what is deemed to be a covered short position, because what we then talk about is, in the past, we've seen the swap dealers primarily and the banks literally take a short position in size and have colluded in the past to do so together, and literally hedge it in London with an equally paper diluted contract. So it is essentially this asymmetrically imbalanced. So essentially it is naked short, but it is sanctioned by the CFTC because they've literally, there's no transparency in the over-the-counter market, in the FX over-the-counter market. So look, obviously, in my view, it's dumb. It's not illegal, but when you're dealing with a physical product, you better be ready to buy it. And here's what's going to happen to the Fed now, who has, as far as they can buy back gold, and it'll be a higher price, and we've tracked it month after month, year after year. We've shown it on the charts multiple times. They bought it back at a higher and higher price. Well, they've got an unlimited, they can just print money and do it. Silver, you can't do that with. That's a problem. So I think there's where I think the interesting part of this question rolls out. So let's have a quick look at the charts as we close out the month. Going to cover some of the stuff we've been looking at. Just as a growing, fresh private credit concerns.
All right, so he really didn't answer what the naked short was, because I instead of just saying naked short is, he goes around to finally answer it, I think. But a short is that illegal? But that wasn't the gentleman's question. The question is comex legal? And for him to short it and knock it down and everything, that's what he's saying. And that is illegal. That's a Ponzi scheme. The short itself is legal, but he didn't answer the question right. Anyway, last minute.
This morning and yesterday, but this morning are spooking the $3 trillion shadow banking sector. All over Bloomberg today, everyone's trying to talk it down, smooth the surface. This is now running into a serious liquidity freeze, raising concerns of a possible Fed bailout. And also, people say, oh, but it's not like 1987. Oh, really? I mean, who knows? And this is also driving a lot of safe haven gold demand this morning, today. None of this is factored into the race to swap debasing dollars for gold and silver.
Or inflated
dollars. So as we
dollars.
just have a quick pop in on our bi-monthly look at the charts. This is spot silver. What we see is the technical retracement all the way back to the 618 fiber. Again, a lot of short covering, nice tail here, and the $140 target that we placed in quite some time ago is untouched, and we leave it in place because we think it's going to get exceeded significantly.
All right, so silver 140. That's enough with MMcgwire. Let's go to, there was one with alligator yesterday. Here's one for you guys: the Pittsburgh-Oakland rivalry. I didn't realize they played in 5 consecutive playoff 72, 73, 74, 75, and 76. Steelers won 3 and went to the Super Bowl after 74, 75. And then Oakland went to the 76 Super Bowl when all the Pittsburgh players were injured, or Franco Harris. Where is this one from Alligator? Oh, here it is. All right, the paper silver crisis.
There's currently about 700 million ounces of paper outstanding and only 88 million ounces available to deliver. What if I told you that there isn't enough gold and silver to back the markets to trade them? And what if I told you that the main supplier of silver to financial markets is no longer doing so after suppressing the price under $40 for the last 20 years? There's not enough silver in London. There's not enough on COMEX and probably not enough in Shanghai either. This is not a speculative mania. As you can see from the chart of the price and open interest has been declining to very low levels as the price rises. Now, this doesn't normally happen. Normally, when the price rises, more people get on board and they buy it as the price rises. No, this is a squeeze on paper contracts which simply cannot be delivered in the physical silver being demanded. When we look at the second chart, it confirms the managed money category, which is mainly hedge funds, it's almost entirely hedge funds, have the lowest long exposure for the last 20 years. This is really remarkable. And it puts a lie to people who think that this is an investment and all the investors are on board and they bought it and it's time that it's going to be shaken out. No, this is very different. This is a squeeze on the system. It leaves billions of paper contracts, billions of dollars in paper contracts, which bullion banks and market makers are desperate to close down. They have wholly inadequate inventories. If you look on COMEX, for example, there's currently about 700 million ounces of paper outstanding and only 88 million ounces available to deliver. The situation in London is worse. And with significant premiums now in Shanghai, physical silver is now draining east, and Shanghai now sets the price. This isn't really a price story. It's a structural flow in how precious metals have been and still are being priced. Does this mean that West is running a fractional reserve metal system? Of course it is. And through the crisis in the silver contract, it is this which is now being challenged. Now go back to late September, when China suspended rare earth exports. It turns out that from that moment, she also suspended silver exports, just as America designated it as a critical mineral. China was not going to supply silver so that America could build her own stockpile. And within 2 weeks, London faced a delivery crisis, which drove up lease rates from their normal level of 1 or 2% to 40% on the 9th of October. There was no silver available for delivery, and trading was even suspended for 2 hours. Big bullion banks have resorted to borrowing silver from wherever they can get it, which eventually they have to return to those that borrowed it from. Lessors, and even ETFs such as SLV. Backwardations appeared between London and New York, sucking metal out of COMEX, where stocks registered for delivery have declined to critical levels. This gives paper markets a huge problem in an illiquid market with the main liquidity supplier, which is China, having withdrawn from the market. Silver cannot absorb delivery stress the way gold can. We now see significant premiums in Shanghai over London and New York. And this tells us that physical silver is now flowing out of Western paper markets into China. Not only is the silver squeeze continuing, but with Chinese institutions and savers buying, it will only get worse, driving prices far higher. And the more obvious the problem, the more reluctant holders of physical silver will be to sell it. Not until prices are far higher. Just to make it clear, the system only works if most participants never ask for metal. Now we're seeing physical metal draining from London. We're seeing lease rates spiking. We're seeing backwardations and Shanghai premiums depriving London and New York of physical silver at a crucial time. This is subtle but huge. It suggests Western paper pricing no longer sets global reality. It all amounts to a run on physical silver, which is crucial to industry and increasingly seen as a monetary metal, particularly by Asian savers, whose parents and grandparents remember the yuan being on the silver standard before Mao Zedong, and throughout Asia, also, the circulation of Maria Theresa dollars as recently as the 1970s. So delivery demands will almost certainly accelerate. Vault inventories are insufficient because most of what's in vaults is actually hoarded silver, not available for deliveries. Cash settlement may eventually be forced to prevent counterparties failing, in which case credibility of the entire commodity paper system will be damaged, most likely fatally. So the real story isn't that silver recently spiked and then crashed. The real story is that the paper system requires people not to want the metal, and increasingly they do. The paper silver crisis has just started. And if you think that buying a silver ETF covers you, think again. You don't own physical silver, and big banks raid ETF stocks to meet their obligations. Own it yourself and store it outside the banking system in secure, insured vaults. Thank you.
There you go. I think we'll leave with that. Well, we'll check our gold and silver for our last time. All right, silver's holding nicely at 93.69. Where's Cart when you need them? Up $7 today, and gold at 52.35. Basically, we're well above 52, and we're holding it. We did get to 52.58. We did not get a 10 o'clock drop. We haven't gotten a noon drop. It could happen. I've noticed at 16, there's 14, 18, and it doesn't, it's like 4 o'clock. We've been getting a little drop, but hopefully not today. And there you go, 93.71. So this is nice, 93.68, and 52.34 is gold. So we're holding the 52 very nicely, which is critical. We're back into the 90s, 93s in silver. Again, the paper is the volatile. If you had a physical price and you had, if you had it as a physical price and you had it, get rid of this paper price, you wouldn't see it go from 93 to 75. It would be, well, first of all, it would be about 200 at this point if it was a physical price, because there's far less physical than there is paper. So keep that in mind. But it looks like comex is crapping out. It looks like Shanghai is controlling it, and it looks like here we go. So this is what we want. This is, now keep in mind, this is protection. I showed you the German one yesterday where people had wheelbarrows of Reichsmarks. They did not have wheelbarrows of gold and silver, and they did not have wheelbarrows of US dollars, British pounds, or French francs. Only the German Reichsmark did they have the wheelbarrow in. So when the shit hits the fan here, which it's hitting, and the dollar goes out, then the wheelbarrow will be in dollars. But we are already 5 steps ahead of that. We've been buying gold and silver. We've been buying, mostly we've been buying gold and silver, and we bought baseball cards. We bought fixed assets and a Rolex or whatever. So if you buy things that there's demand for and they're limited in supply, it'll always hold value. The question is in what currency. So if there's no if the US dollar, when the US dollar collapses, if there's no new dollar, then we use the silver as barter, because there has to be some money. Unlike Mark Zuckerberg, there has to be money to have the system work, because the system's based on a medium of exchange. That's the point of it. We're choosing this. You don't print it to death. So as they print this to death, you need a new one. If there is no new one, then we'll be using this until a new one comes out. But you have to have, you can't just deal without money. You can't have a system without money, no matter how stupid Zuckerberg and Gates and these other these AI idiots are. Oh, we'll have a system without money. Yeah, good luck on that one. I mean, that's these AI, these IT guys are just so fucking stupid. And then they talk about things they have no idea what they're talking about. You can't have a system without money. You have to have money because you have to have prices. How am I going to sell my Canadian club? For example, this sells for $100. How am I going to sell it if there's no money? Oh, we'll take credits like Back to the Future 2. No, that doesn't. How much are they worth? No. It doesn't. Where you have to have money because you have to have prices. So you have to know what things cost to see if you want to buy it or not. Say's Law. You can't get away from Say's Law. You can't get away from Adam Smith. I don't know what they're thinking or why they think you don't need money, but they'll be broke if they think they don't need money. These are just people that are too stupid to talk to. Anyway, that's it. So have a good weekend. We got one more day of February, and March 1st will be Sunday. And that's it. Like I said, I did get my driver's license in the mail, and I did get my tab for my car. And I should be able to sign up for my apartment. I had to wait till March 1st, so I'll do it Monday and lock that up. Get the fuck out of here and this loud neighbor. And just move on. It'll be a savings in rent, and off I go. So anyway, that's what we're doing. So have a good day. www.teaserking.com. I hope you understand the concept. We are buying gold and silver because the dollar's worthless, and we don't want to have a wheelbarrow full of dollars to buy milk and bread. If you're not in dollars, you don't need the wheelbarrow, and therefore you have gold and silver. They can't print gold and silver, so they can't devalue it. It will never lose its value. If you can't print it, you can't lose its value. Only when you print things do they lose their value. And the way I just said it, it's such a simple concept. They're printing money because they owe all these expense, the interest on the debt and the Social Security and all the government employees, the defense contract. They spend more than they take in, and therefore you got a lot of older people who are retiring, and they're going to live in the stock market, and you're going to have millions of people broke because they're listening to financial idiots who are saying, keep your money in stock. Yeah, your retirement plan, you'll have stock. You have that I showed you yesterday with Germany. The stocks went to zero, the life insurance went to zero, and all the money in the bank went to zero in Reichsmarks. You got to get out of Reichsmarks. You got to get out of dollars. Unfortunately, back then you could go into US dollars, British pounds, or French francs. Here you can't. All the dollars in every country are worthless. So you're basically, if you're not in gold and silver, you're fucked. Or maybe a metal card, even the Rolex, jewelry, you can trade that for food and stuff like that. But you cannot, if you stay in the dollar, there's no dollar to go to. You can't go British pound, you can't go euro. They're all worthless. One. And that's why BRICS is winning, because they have the gold-backed trade currency, the unit. And that's where the demand for gold's coming. And now it's silver going to Asia. They're realizing silver is huge. And so they're getting all that. So I know I looked funny with my hair, but I'm happy. I'll rearrange my haircut, but it's too thin to do anything with, because I normally have a different. I don't normally comb it over, but we'll make as it's really. I added cayenne pepper to my castor oil, coconut oil, so I think that's where it's getting from. Anyway, so you've got to understand that if you keep printing, it loses value. So you're holding, even though it says 100 on it, it doesn't buy what 100 used to, and it doesn't have a value. And that's the problem with it. But don't let Alistair McLeod tell you any differently. This is, in effect, this is money. This is money. This is what money is. Yes, I'm an Austrian economist, and this is money. It might be debt or credit because you put it on a credit card. It is money. As is this. This is also money, but this is not accepted yet, but it will be. And again, if we have a new money that comes out, there will be no whatchamacallit, I can't think of the word. I have trouble with that word. What is it? Trading, I can't think of it. But there will be no brokering, or that's not the name. There won't be any of that if there's a dollar. You only have that if there's no dollar. Starts with a B, but I can't think of it. Basically trading this for goods as opposed to using the money. So if there is you won't have the trade, and if you don't, then we'll be trading our silver for food and stuff, and we'll be okay. One piece had, will you be able to get rid of, I need, gold's worth $10,000. I want to get $10,000. Will you be able to cash it? Well, certain places will still take it, the coin shops. And then the question is, if the dollar collapses, you're going to want it for the new dollar, and or you'll use that as the what is the word? God, barter. I don't know why I'm writing it down. Barter. So you only use this to barter if there's no money, right? So when this collapses, if there's a USD number 2 and it's not backed by gold, you'll use this to trade. If there is this backed by gold, then you're fine. You can go to the bank with this saying, okay, give me gold-backed currency, or we all go to Russia or China or Saudi Arabia and use their unit and get gold-backed currency. That wins at the end. Gold always wins. That's what I was trying to show you with all the powers. Rome they debased their currency, took the gold and silver out, and they went out, and Spain and Amsterdam and France and England had gold and then got rid of their gold, and they went out. But they all started with gold, and then they were number one. And then as they got rid of it, because they all went to war. I don't know why you go to war. You're the number one thing. Why are you going to war? I don't. What are they going to war for? Like, why did France go to Russia to fight them and then get Waterlooed and then lose? What was the point of that? Like, say, hey, you know what? Yeah, we're gonna stay over here and we're gonna count our gold and go fuck off. I don't. Doesn't make sense. But anyway, that's what it is. So again, there will be no. If there's a new dollar, there's no barter. If there is no new dollar, then we're going to barter with the silver and gold. Not the silver and black or the black and gold, the Steelers or the Raiders. All the football players and all these athletes are going to go broke. I love it. They're all overpaid anyway. Jared Goff gets $50 million to be a quarterback. Yeah, okay. Where's the line? I could do what he does for $20 million. Anyway, so that's what it is. So be careful. So we might go to barter if they don't have another dollar, but I can't imagine Trump not having another dollar because he loses too. Bitcoin is not money. It is not a dollar. Do not get into it. It's digital air. It is not a coin, and nobody takes it. Nobody accepts it, and it's basically worthless, and it's priced in dollars. So when the dollar collapses, Bitcoin collapses. So don't think Bitcoin's the answer. People who think that are in for a serious problem. Anyway, it went from 120 to 65. Yeah, go buy your Bitcoin. Oh, it won't go down. Why? Well, I don't know, but I'm just saying. I have no idea. Michael Saylor's losing his ass, so I feel good about that. Anyway, I think that's it. Anything else, John C? Where's Cart today from India? He's not panicking with the silver at 93. So let me know how you're doing, Kurt. All right. Well, have a nice day. Time to eat, time to go to the pool and relax. Have a good day, everybody. www.teaserking.com if you want to get my email. Otherwise, gold and silver end about 5:15 today, and then come back Sunday night at 6 o'clock or whatever, Chinese time. So a few more hours of our gold and silver for the week, but I'm glad it's not dropping for the mark to market day, the last day of the month. So I think MMcgwire said it was Tuesday. So perfect. So we're okay. But it does it every near the end of the month. They always mark to market and screw their books up and cheat. And you know what banks do. So don't trust banks. Do not trust financial planners. Do not do ETFs. And be very careful who you listen to on YouTube or wherever else you're listening. The only guy I recommend is Egon, and I just showed you MMcgwire, who still talks in riddles. Even the naked short, he didn't just, what's a naked, I still don't know what a naked short is. I'll look it up on Google, but even that, you just don't know. Again, AI will basically kill everything. All right. Well, have a good day, everybody. www.teaserking.com. Take care. Enjoy.